So, for a minute, we've been hearing about the Diddy parties and whatnots. Now, I didn't know that there was the Diddy parties for Christians. Diddy parties for Christians. It sounds funny, I know. But I was watching an interview of Kabelo Mabalani and his wife, where they were being interviewed about their marriage life and all that. And I thought it was quite an interesting subject for me to come here and play. Y'all know it's good for us to reflect on the successful relationships. Hey, there's too many negatives online. Online, you will just think life is just divorce. You will just think everyone is divorced. And so it's important we remember the successful relationship, because those are the ones to look up to. It's the Reality Show with the Daily Christian commentary videos. If it's the first time over here, to be sure, check out the other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I'm going to check you out over there. And so I'm going to take you straight into that interview where they talk about how they met at a Diddy Bible. I'm just joking, guys. I'm joking. All right. So this is the video right here, and you can hear them being interviewed. I'll leave the full video down in the description below, and you can go and check the rest of the interview. It's about an hour long. It's not that long, honestly. And so I'm going to only play two particular portions where they talk about their meeting and something that they've seen about marriage life as a whole. All right.
About how you met, right? So for those who do not know, we would like to hear briefly how and where you met.
Your version of my version.
Oh, wow, your version, I guess.
Okay.
Your version, isn't it the same version?
It is the same version.
Okay.
Let's do both. We'll be
Let's do
diplomatic.
No,
Yes.
it's the same.
It's the same, ne? Okay. It is the same. I don't know why I thought maybe you had a different version. So I used to run, and still do actually, a connect group, home cell for people in the entertainment industry.
Okay. So you hear, Kabelo, if you're a celebrity, go to Kabelo. Go to the holy parties. Why do you want to go to the ungodly ones? So,
And you invited, just by the way,
Yes.
to the next one.
Thank you.
So I have industry folk at my place. We get together and pray, and I share the word. And one of the people that was in the Connect group worked with Gail on The Wild, Dumisho Masha. And I remember being at a U2 concert when U2 came out here last at FMB Stadium. I didn't know Dumisho was there. I was there with a group of friends, and Dumisho, on the way to the toilet during the break, he was coming from another suite. I was coming from another suite. He was like, "Dude, I met your wife."
Oh, wow.
He didn't say that, for real.
Sure.
I was like,
That's what he said, like verbatim.
verbatim. And
and so basically, Dumisho prophesied. He prophesied to Kabelo. He said, I met your wife. He didn't ask you, I don't know, maybe you like the lady, maybe you might not like the lady. No, he said to Kabelo, I met your wife. And it was just straightforward, if you don't know Dumisho Masha. And so he said, no, Chief, I met your wife. Prophecy has been delivered. All right.
verbatim, I said to him, stupidly, I was like, but if she's so cool, why don't you go for her? But I'd forgotten he was married.
Also, he's like a brother, so probably
Yeah.
he also wasn't like...
Yeah. And then I'm going to bring her to Connect Group. I'm like, sweet.
Hey, and did he try? Because I already had another Connect group that I was going to.
Right.
And he would invite and please come. And I'm like, yo, I'm from a small town. I'm from Kimberley, so my Connect groups are tiny, and like not a lot of people from the industry. So I wasn't really keen because I also didn't know what to expect. So I was just like, no.
So this is how they then meet through this Connect groups. And then Kabelo then goes to explain how, eventually worked himself into that conversation that leads to thinking. But while now that we know, okay, for those of you there that are in the industry, busy attending the ungodly Diddy parties, there are godly parties. Can you go there? All right. Now, there's something that they speak about on marriage life that I wanted to point out here that becomes very important in our conversation.
I'd like to add to that as well. I mean, one of the things about marriage which blows my mind, because, you know, we've been married for 10, going on 11 years now.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Congrats,
thank you.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
It's a huge milestone.
it's been a journey. You know, it constantly is a journey. I don't think anybody gets there and arrives to where you've got it all figured out, right? We constantly failing forward, constantly learning and growing as we go, as
You're failing forward, moving forward.
time goes. But I think one of the things that really stood out for me the last couple of years is we also go into marriage with a lot of expectations of self-fulfillment, right? We make it about us. What's in it for me? You go in and you're like, what can I get out of it? You know, and if I am not getting, then this is not working, right? But marriage,
If I'm not getting, if I am not getting this or getting the other, or this or one way or the, then it's not working. And people use that. And I think we've seen a lot of videos from TikTok. People divorce regret because they realize the decision that they made at that point was like, okay, yeah, no, that was not well calculated. And so that's such an important thing. I think I once made a video of a pastor being carried by his wife in the back. And in that video, I played a couple of clips of people that failed at that particular point. If I'm not getting, then it's not working. And so once they decide that, they become more willing to cancel the whole thing. Let's break up the whole thing, and I would rather be single. So they go for that instead of failing going forward, but also seeing the place of service. All right.
marriage really is a constant dying to self, which was an interesting revelation for me, right? Because you go in and you think, but this is not serving me. And that's how I think a lot of marriages maybe tend to struggle, because we make it about what we can get out of it. And what family and marriage has done for me is really go, it's not about me, right? That it is about serving. And I think it starts when you look at our purpose. I think when you look at it holistically, is really we're born to serve, right? And if it doesn't start in our homes, then there's no point in it. You know, there's no point in you serving out there if you can't serve your husband, your children, your family,
Come
right?
on. Yeah.
So for me, when I got to understand that it is about me serving my husband, and I'm not saying worship, I'm not saying pray, and I love doing it, but that's not the service I'm referring to. But constantly making it about how I can help him grow, how I can build him, how I can encourage him, how I can, pour into him. And what happens, which is so beautiful, is when it's reciprocated, then it's this constant act of him pouring into me, me pouring into him. And when you get to that place in marriage, I think then it becomes so fulfilling, because then it does become about what I get out of it. But before you get out, you pour,
So there is a point when the relationship matures to where I am getting something out of it. But then there is this phase where I am giving into it. And that's such an interesting point that she made there, particularly towards serving. And it shows fellowship at the highest point of what it's meant to be, basically. Because if it just becomes about what I'm getting, it's very easy to lose interest, because you're so focused at getting out without putting in.
And I think it's a beautiful place to get to, where you understand that I'm here to pour and fill his cup, as my kids would say, you dipping my bucket, and fill his bucket and fill my kids' buckets.
Yeah.
And the world dips our buckets. It does. You go out there and the world just takes and draws, and you want to come home to somebody who fills you, But but you want to be, when it's reciprocated, it's beautiful. But I think when you understand that I've got to fill first, then you get that in return. You know, I think.
So I'll leave the video down in the description below. Thought that was quite an interesting conversation that they had, and you can go and check it out over on their platform. Here's the thought. Basically, the video, the link will be down there. And so, not only does this apply towards marriage, it also applies into all other relationships, whether be family and whatnot. Sometimes there's too much take that it drains. And the world is like that. The world only takes, does not put in, does not contribute, nothing. Okay, the world knows how to take from us. It does not bring any value back unto us. And this can cause us drain. That's why he says, come here unto me, he who are heavily burdened, because you are so burdened with giving out without thinking. But then when we go to this relationship, which is why I believe a lot of relationships or marriages, they can be strained, okay, from just a biblical perspective, basically. They can be strained because the one relationship that cares about how you feel, how are you as a whole, as a person, is the marriage, or it's the marriage relationship. Your brother or your sister might not care very much how are you as a whole, how are you feeling. It may only reflect into your relationship, and I believe that's why all these other relationships can cause the marriage relationship to fail, because after everybody is taking, when you come back here and the feelings of all this taking can come back here and just completely drain or completely take you off, because they can cost you so much. All these interactions out there, they can cost you so much that when you come back here, it feels like there's nothing more to give. And so this relationship is going to suffer. These ones may not. You know? That's why you'll hear of people that they lost a loved one, you know, the relationship outside of these two. They lost a loved one, or they lost a child, or they lost other aspects of relationships. They lost a job, they lost friendships. And so because of losses in these other areas here, because now the place which is taking, when I come back here, I may come back and there's nothing for me to give. And so I'm constantly taking here and never seeing what I must give. And so at the end of the day, that you never grow to that point. And so that's why a lot of relationships are failing. If you think about it, I thought that was quite an interesting point to note. Is this pouring into other people, and that's what builds a strong relationship. And so, yeah, go check the video out over there. I thought that was quite an interesting conversation that they had. And the couple interviewing them, they kind of like presses them on this point a little bit more. They're like, yeah, we hear you, but I forgot to play that part. They're like, no, really break it down. And I thought that was quite an interesting one when they did that right here.
When
No.
that level of self-awareness
No.
kicked in, 10 years.
You realize this is what we are so curious about all the time. We're like, how?
Yeah.
When did?
And that's what people want to know, because a lot of people do struggle, right?
Yeah.
And we speak
We've
candidly
battled,
about
yeah.
our challenges, especially in the initial phases of our marriage. Like we had those expectations.
Yeah, unmet expectations.
They were
and-
unmet because we obviously came.
Because when my wife says, "This is not what I signed up for,"
Yeah, I was just like, listen.
not.
Yeah, and I've been there.
This man that you brought into my
Yeah.
life. So when
Yeah, so you can see why I'm saying it's such a really great conversation, because the interviewers as well are like, yeah, we hear you talking about godly, and but how? We want the detail. So yeah, go check out the interview. It's really well done. And the fact that it's married people interviewing other married people, they know human. Here we hear the godly part, but they how you. So they had that conversation. It was quite an interesting one. So yeah, go check it out. It's the Reality Show with daily Christian commentary videos. It's important we reflect on godly relationships. This is all the ungodly people out here trying to define marriage. Like I've said, it's no offense. I have no faith in ungodly relationships. Zero. Because you have no reference. You have no reference point. Another thing that Kabelo quotes in the interview, it's it's husband love your wife as Christ loved the church. And then it's that particular reference of how far we are to go in pouring ourselves into one another. It's such a great point that a Christian has. So for unbelievers, I don't know what reference they have, but I know for a Christian, that's the reference we have. And so, yeah, go check it out when you do get time. It's about an hour-long interview, but very interesting. Let us reflect on the godly relationships. Because there's too many ungodly ones. There's too many people just talking their own things out here. Too much divorce talk. We need the right ones as well.